so he seems to just kind of edge him off the ball like quite easily, which is, obviously the boy's young, but it's going to learn some harsh lessons in this league. You need strength, and he seemed a little easily pushed off the ball.
Well, to be honest, Sutton was kind of bossing those two throughout the game. He won, I'd say, a good share of the headers against those two, so he was. So the two of them did know they were in a bit of a game. Cause
Sutton's a good player. I mean, I like it. I kind of like seeing your strikers doing that, and he's always done it. I mean, he's maybe not been the most prolific, but he'll certainly cause people problems. And as you say, Denier, I don't watch English under-21 games or reserve team games or anything like that, but I would imagine playing in the league up here, it will be a different experience for them, because they're going to be physical and no game any time and muck about.
Yeah, I actually agree, but that's a great point, and I agree with your point, Chris. I think they're too similar. I also think which happened in Austria, actually just before I make this point, Celtic had 27 shots yesterday and 10 of them were on target. Motherwell had 4 with 1 on target, and the 1 was obviously the goal. We also probably should have conceded a second, but Sutton somehow missed.
I was actually going to say that. You're praising Sutton, but the one he missed yesterday was...
I think it's harder to miss
than it was this goal.
Other thing I would like to see a start in the second half is how many touches that Zaluska actually had. Because I actually watched and caught him at one point halfway through doing his warm-up. He started doing stretches because he was just not getting the ball at all. I think he had a couple of pass backs to him and a couple of by kicks, but I don't think he had one save.
It just is a part of Dialect that just thinks, obviously, again, this leads into the kind of Austria talk. Like, we counter-attacked really well against Austria Vienna at times. Sometimes we were over elaborate, sometimes it was the wrong ball, but fair enough. That's the way I think he wants to play. I think he wants to, almost counter-attacking football. He's not going to be able to do that in Scotland. No. There might be the odd game away from home, your Aberdeens or Dundee United's away. But at home, people, we're not scared. Lasley came out and said, we're not scared to go to Celtic Park. It'll be hard, but we're not scared. But you're still going to sit in. I mean, Aberdeen, after we scored those 2 goals against Aberdeen. Granted, Aberdeen are a different kettle of fish, but Dundee United sat in, and they're a team that always likes to play free-flowing attack. Do you think, is there a chance that's where he could just become undone and unstuck because his mentality of what he thinks of Scottish football is wrong from what it actually is?
Well, he's talking about wanting to get players wide. I mean, you're not going to be able to hit the byline a lot of the times when Celtic are playing at home, because the teams are sitting in that deep, there's going to be no space to work with. Mubarak, for instance, obviously, midweek in Austria, fantastic goal. It was really good. When I seen him, I thought I enjoyed his performance during the week, but I thought he's not going to get a lot of joy in the SPL because he's all about breaking fast counter attacks, and he's not going to get a lot of space in the SPL, as you say. That's why we need somebody who's going to be able to play that killer pass through tight defences. Something that we've been crying out for since probably Nakamura.
Nakamura. It's a really good point. I mean, what your guys' take on that? And in terms of how we play, there's a chance we could have a really successful Europa League campaign and still be sitting second or third come Christmas. What are your thoughts? You think
it's something that all Scottish football has done against it? I mean, Lennon for many years, up until last year as well, we struggled to break down teams that sit in. I mean, it is hard because, almost with Motherwell, it was literally a bank of 4 and a bank of 5. And with that squashed, there was just no space at all in the middle. And most teams will be like that against Celtic, because especially now when they see that the confidence is just sapped out the team.
Aye.
And they can get, like Lasley said, they can get us. They're not scared, because I think he said they're not scared since the Neil times.
Yeah. I'll come to you with this one, Louis. I think there's a certain level of embarrassment that comes with the way kind of football is in the team. Every team's trying to emulate Barcelona. Everyone's trying to play ticky-tacky football. I think there's almost an embarrassment with kind of playing not old-fashioned, but balls in box, headers, winning aerial battles. I know that's not the Celtic way, perchance, but I think it would probably be more effective. Guidetti looks a big boy. Skepovic looks a big boy. Would we be better? And I'm not saying this is my opinion. I'm just asking a question. Would it be better if we did go back to kind of basics until we get to a situation where we can experiment a little bit more? Balls into boxes, headers, or do we have the players to even play that, Louis?
Well, I think to a certain extent that's what he's trying to do. I mean, if he's going to have the likes of Tonev, Mubarak, Barichter, if you want, McGregor, he's going to be hoping that these players are going to, fair enough, you're saying that he likes to kind of counter-attacking style and his wingers running into space. Yeah, but I think a big part of it is that he wants those wingers to beat a man, not just run into space and be faster than the opposition, but have the kind of skill to get by them. And when they get by them, get the ball into the box. And I think that's one of the reasons why he's bought Skepovic, is that he's again, for us, judging by his YouTube videos, but I'm sure they've done a lot more research on him. It looks as if he's good in the air.
Yeah.
It looks as if he's more of a target man, if you like, a player who's going to play in the box, and he's going to want to be inside the box rather than a Stokes that would quite happily come out the box and shoot for range. So I think the kind of signs are already there. He's got the wide players. He's hoping that they can cross him in, and you've got somebody like Skepovic who can use his height and his presence to try and maybe get a few headers or whatever. But at the same time, he wants to play attractive football. He wants to dominate teams, have way more possession than anybody else. And that's what he should be doing at Celtic. Now, if teams are going to sit in, that's fine. Teams are going to sit in. We can't control them. But if he wants to dominate teams and have the possession and keep the ball as well as what his ideals are, then this should be the perfect place for him.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you make some good points, Ellie. We know your thoughts on Diala, Lou. We know your thoughts, Chris. Ciaran, we've not really got your kind of thoughts. You've not been on the podcast for a while. What are your thoughts? How would you look at Diala so far, and still get faith in him?
Yeah, I do. He has got this philosophy he wants to do, but it's not going to happen overnight. It is going to have to take time. But obviously, we don't know if the fans will give him time. You also got to look as well, see what objectives Law's given him for this season. What is it? Is it to win the league and a cup? Is it to win the league and do quite well in Europe? Or is it just win the league and not get embarrassed in Europe? Which, thankfully, I mean, we've had a great start. I mean, that was an outstanding result, I suppose, from where we've been over the summer when it comes to European games.
Yeah.
But it does need to get himself set to the actual formation that he wants to play and the players, and he has to stick with them with the run. Because I know we're harking on about the amount of changes he made, which he done for his reasons, but there was too many changes, and it's a worry if you need to rest players at this time of the season. We're only into September. This should be where players should be playing as many games they can to get their sharpness, their match sharpness right up to a good point. Maybe they're just knackered because he's trying to bring in this new regime where he wants his players very lean and mean and very fast and can last the 90 minutes, and maybe they're just not able to play the game because they've been training just too hard.
Yeah.
I think part of what Ciaran was saying there, like, I think he's making changes, as we've heard. He's making changes off the pitch and on the pitch. He's trying to change the style of play. Fair enough, we can't quite figure out what it is yet, but he's trying to change that. He's trying to change the players' mentality and their approach to the job and what it takes to become a top professional footballer. So he is trying to do a hell of a lot, I think, that we don't see. Fair enough, he's going to ultimately be judged on what happens on the football pitch, but at the same time, I think possibly for him, maybe he's trying to change and develop too much in the big picture
At one time,
rather than focusing on getting the football team sorted and subtly implementing the changes off the pitch that he wants. Or he needs help from other members of staff.
well, here's the point. Actually, we'll come. Have you got a point first, Chris?
I was just going to say the points that Louis was making there. It sounds a lot like Le Guin at Rangers. I've seen the comparison made by a few people on Twitter. He was trying to change the mindset of the club as opposed to just changing things on the pitch. I don't know whether that's fair or not. It doesn't seem as if there's a Well, not that we know of. There doesn't seem to be any sort of camp against them like there was when Le Guin was in charge.
I think that camp might be building though. After some of the stuff over, so I know it's only social media.
Think?
What do you mean?
Who do you think's in the camp?
What, fans?
No, I mean the players. That's what I mean. Le Guin, Ferguson and stuff were against Le Guin because they like the chips and stuff like that. Do you think there's a camp building in the Celtic dressing room against Tyler?
I don't think it matters as long as it's not somebody like Scott Brown or something, because I think clearly Griffiths and him are not going on. It's only a matter of time before Stokes gets dropped and he starts moaning. I think Stokes has got actually quite a big pull in the dressing room. I don't know for sure, but I think he might have.
I don't think Tyler would take any shite, to be honest.
I think he's a bit of a hard man.
I think he'll kick boots at people.
Let me just make a couple. I just want to read this. This was in a few papers over the weekend. Lee Griffiths must become a 24-hour athlete while Celtic manager. Some interesting points here. When asked about Griffiths, Dyler responds, he really wants to succeed at Celtic. He's at a very big club, he knows it, and this is his chance. Wanting is one thing, but knowledge is another. You have to see all of the time if you have the attitude or the knowledge. Playing matches is important, but being a 24-hour athlete is important as well. What you do in matches is important, but you have to also be very wary of what you do every day in training and off the pitch. There have been no problems with Lee off the pitch, but he needs to get fitter. When you're playing at this level with the results pressures of this club, it's very easy to get into whether you're playing or not.
Well, you saw that picture of him on holiday with his pink shorts on. He didn't look like a footballer, did he?
No. He scored 28 goals and 41 appearances with Hibs.
If you look at him and look at Gareth Bale...
Aye, but Gareth Bale's big.
No, but he's ripped.
Well, that's the thing you don't really... that you're going to have to bring into like Celtic in the Scottish game is... Because the whole 24-hour athlete wasn't quite aimed at just Griffiths, it was aimed at the whole squad, because they've got to have that kind of football mentality. The way they look at like Ronaldo, Bale, all the top players... They are 24-hour athletes. You see how they obviously work out off the pitch and even just in their personal life. See, I mean, you see some players here, and soon back last season, where they would visit a lot of the pubs and stuff. I know you've got to have a bit of downtime and all that, but you can't really begin out and sit and sinking pints and stuff like that.
Did you see Lennon come out and...
Actually, I was going to bring that up.
Aye, Lennon came out and said... stopping them drinking Coke and eating tomato sauce and all that sort of stuff isn't going to make them better players. And you're like, come on, that's really naive.
Did he actually say that? Aye?
What you get the quotes there?
I'll get the quotes in a second.
But basically along the lines that changing their diets isn't going to improve their footballing ability.
No wonder he's not got a job in it.
If you take 5 hits out,
well,
and high calorie drinks and stuff.
He said that the dietary requirements were there when he was at Celtic, but he said that if one of his players was drinking fizzy juice or something like that, and he was still performing on the pitch, he'd let that happen. And he made a point about Gaza and how Gaza was a great player despite his physique, and John Hartson being a great player despite his physique, and I just found that really naive.
John Hartson was fat. I love John Hartson. He's terrific. But John Hartson was a big fat guy. You know what I mean? I'm trying to find this. So talk amongst yourselves.
Or literally?
Yeah, literally talk amongst yourselves.
Ciaran, how are you? All right,
oh, no, seriously, come on.
Good,
this is
about football, right?
Okay, actually, joking aside, when I'm looking for those quotes, Chris, thoughts on the Austria match?
I didn't think we were very good, to be honest. I thought we attacked well at times, but we invited a lot of pressure onto ourselves. Mubarak's goal was fantastic. It was a really good finish. Brown's not so much. And the equaliser, is he? I mean, how bad's he been all season? Given that free kick away, it was so needless.
It was so obvious what was going to happen as well.
You knew exactly what was going to happen. I could see why they Salzburg do well in lesser games, but when it comes to the big occasion, they kind of fall down. They looked as if they lacked a wee bit of composure, a little bit of mettle. But as much as I enjoyed the result, I didn't think the performance was particularly good.
Yeah, we're very thankful for Gordon. Some of the saves he was pulling out was kept us that got us that draw.
Yeah, absolutely. That's obviously why I kind of brought up the the question at the start. Craig Gordon, the save in the first half where he somehow fingertipped it round the post is legitimately one of the best saves I've ever seen.